What's up, everybody? Welcome back to your Celtics source, home of your 0-2 Boston Celtics. Not a great start. We've got a new approach on today's show, hosted by the Zach Attack. Starting five. What are the five starting things we got to talk about? I'm going to go first. I'm going to ask you, Zach, talk to me about defense and rebounds.
Yeah, I think this is one of the things that it's going to continue to be a problem throughout the course of the season because they just don't have the guys that are going to be able to get rebounds. But there is opportunity to get better, right? They're not this bad at rebounding. I think they were out rebounded 53 to 37 against the Knicks, 21 offensive boards.
Yeah.
That's just something you cannot let happen because they don't have that margin of error on the defensive end. They don't have the guys that are going to be able to defend all NBA players play after play. And so when you get a stop and you do all the good work to either force a bad shot or, they take a shot late in the shot clock, you have to do your best to limit that chance.
I think that's exactly right. I don't think they're this bad on defense, and I don't think they're this bad on another one of our starting five we'll get to in a minute, but they've got to tighten it up and they got to rebound.
Yeah, I think their defense actually has been pretty good for the most part, right? They have done a good job of forcing the bad shot, but play after play, if you're getting open shots off of rebounds and kickouts and stuff like that, that's going to destroy the team, which is what happened in the game against the Knicks.
Yep. Yep. I mean, coulda, shoulda won 76ers. And I think, I'd say this is starting five number two. You gotta win the games you should be winning. This is
Mm-hmm.
not a team with a huge margin for error like last year, last couple of years where, okay, they sort of squandered it and like nobody like they're bummed, but like they can go toe to toe with anybody. They're a good team. They're not a great team. They gotta win the games that they can and should win if they want to be a 40 something win team. Anything with a four handle on it, right?
Yeah.
So that's my thing is you gotta close out the games. A little bit like these guys up here, a good team, not a amazing team. Red Sox had to win the games they could and should win, and same with the Celtics. You gotta win. Gotta win those games.
And that's what's so upsetting about these two games. And I know it's still early, you can't overreact to everything, but the Knicks are vying for a Eastern Conference Finals, if not an NBA Finals. Like
Yeah.
they are one of the best teams in the Eastern Conference. Like you shouldn't actually win that game. The Knicks are a lot better on paper, but with the way Joel Embiid was playing, and you're missing Paul George and the injuries that are on the 76ers, they're not one of those top teams in the East.
No.
And fully healthy, I probably have them above the Celtics, but they're not healthy right now. And so
Right.
you have to be able to win that kind of game.
Especially when you're up by, 10 or whatever in
I
the
think it was 13.
thirteen.
They
Yeah.
gave up 42 points in that fourth quarter.
You gotta close that game out. And I think that's one of the other things on the starting five that I think is this is a game they're not calling this a tank for the Celtics or a reboot. They're calling it a reset or something.
Mm-hmm.
And I think this is going to be a season of transition. Something you and I have talked about in our off-air show is do you think Joe Mazzulla is experimenting? Because it's kind of like the season is like found money for him a little bit, right? Like nobody expects them to go very far. Everyone expects them to make the playoffs, maybe win the first round. That's it. So do you
Some
think
some
he's?
people have them winning only like 30 games and missing the playoffs entirely.
I
So
mean, I think this team has too much talent. We know talent wins in the NBA. They're going to make the playoffs, maybe the play-in, maybe not see. But do you think Joe Mazzulla is going to use this season? You see him doing hockey line substitutions. Do you think he's going to do some more stuff like that and just like experiment a lot?
yeah, actually on that hockey substitution, I was a little surprised by that. Um Joe Mazzulla did mention that in the preseason that he might try and mix things up if guys are not giving 100% effort. But what we saw against the Knicks is he took the starting lineup out because they weren't playing well necessarily, but you put in the backups. I wouldn't call them exactly backups, but whatever, the second line, second unit, and the Knicks offense Jalen Brunson, Karl Anthony Towns just went to work because they were going up against second tier defenders.
Yeah. That it was an experiment. I think he's learning and trying stuff. I don't know. I don't think that worked. I think that, that opened up the game. I don't know that they would have won that game anyway, but like that, it put it out of reach, except I give them credit. They didn't roll over, right? This is not a
Mm-hmm.
team. They know this team has grit and they've been there before, especially with some of the veterans. They punched back. They could have they were close with enough time to actually make this game competitive and maybe win on a you get a little run and you get a little luck.
Yeah, they've been outscored in maybe they played 8 quarters and they've only been outscored in two of them.
Yeah.
The six other quarters they've actually won, except these 2 quarters have been so drastically game changing that it's cost them the 2 games.
Yeah.
Uh, in the fourth quarter, right, that can't happen just blowing a lead. But in the second quarter, I think you were outscored like 44-14, the worst quarter differential
42,
in
42,
Celtic
44. Yeah.
franchise
That
history.
is bad. It's no bueno. So, um, yeah, I think again, I think this team, I think missing Tatum, even with other veteran presences, missing Porzingis, missing Drew Holiday, missing Cornette, like this team is gonna take time to find their groove, right?
Mhm.
I think there's a very small, not a high probability, but I'd put it 5% that they just go totally south and they end up tanking and selling off more pieces. I don't think so, but it's not 0%. Not 0%.
Yeah, the
I
the
still
biggest
believe.
I don't we're not there yet, so we're not gonna
No,
talk much about this.
no.
But I think the biggest player that's probably on the trade block is a guy like Simons. Um, for the most part, we can talk a little bit about him and his performance. I thought he's done a pretty solid job of playing defense, right? That was the biggest question coming into this season because we know he's a proven scorer. He was going up against starting defenders in Portland his entire career and just flat out balling.
Yeah.
But that's not been the problem to start the season. It's been the offense, the thing that we thought was going to be his biggest asset.
I think that's right. I mean, right now you can't afford to move him because you don't really have any depth.
Mm-hmm.
If you had Tatum back, like all of a sudden you got another piece of
Right.
depth, right? But um, we'll see how that goes. Let's talk about the offense for a second. We know that our fellow coach, Coach Joe, if you're watching, give us a little ring a ding ding. We'd love to interview you on the air, but we know he's about the maths. We do the
Mm-hmm.
maths, right? The math doesn't lie. And some people hate that part about the Celtics. Some people like it. It doesn't matter. That's how they play the game. Reversion to the mean. Keep shooting because the ball will fall. That's what the stats say.
Mm-hmm.
So the offense has not been hitting. I think we got to have faith that this offense is going to go back. They're going to start scoring more points and doing better, I think.
I agree. And I actually came into the season thinking that they were going to have to play a different play style because they just didn't have the shooters. But I'm looking at a Derek White, a Jaylen Brown, a Payton Prichard, a Hauser, a Simons, and they actually have enough shooters on this team right now that they can keep the same play style, I think. Um, which, I do think they have to change it up. They have to continue to play at that faster pace that Joe Mazzulla and the team has been harping on to start the season and all of preseason. And it looks like, lately they've sort of slowed down in the fourth quarter, which,
Yeah.
most teams do. But I just think you have to continue to keep even if you're up 20, we've seen this multiple times, leads blown. You have to continue to push.
I agree. It's one of the things I don't understand. We see it, I think, in most commonly in football, where they go to the prevent when it's under 2 minutes, and the next thing you know, they're giving up 20-yard plays and 40-yard plays, and
Right.
they're letting the team march up the field, and all of a sudden it's a close game when you were up by 10 or something
Hmm.
like this. And I agree. I think you have to keep your foot on the gas when you can't just be like, oh, well, we're up by 12. So yeah, if we give up, 3 buckets or something, like next thing you know, you're 2 shots away from like, and crazy swings can happen so fast. I
Yeah.
agree. You gotta finish out the games with scoring.
Um, let's continue on the offense here. Despite the shooting inconsistencies, because I think that's going to turn itself around. Jaylen Brown has not looked great to start the season. He looks a little slow, a little, lackadaisical, um,
Lackadaisical, yeah.
um, to start. I don't know if that's his knee injury or his hamstring that he tweaked in the last preseason game, but it looks like he's not being aggressive enough, and that's the player that we need to show up and carry this team. An energy and effort, you know diving after loose balls and stuff like that.
Yeah, if Jaylen doesn't have an all-pro season, like we're not, I mean that's sort of it, right? Maybe he doesn't get selected all-pro, but he's got to have that kind of a season. I think the way Jaylen goes is the way this whole team is going to go.
Mhm,
Um, Tell me this, in our starting five, my theme number four here is uh, who are we, forget Tatum injury,
mhm.
who are we missing the most? You get to pick Porzingis, Cornette, Drew Holiday. Who do we missing the most?
Um,
Hurting us most.
so I think the rim protection is going to become a big problem. I don't know if it's been one yet. I thought Kate has done an okay job of protecting the rim and not picking up unnecessary fouls, especially against Carl Anthony Towns. Um, I say Al Horford. And I know he
Interesting.
does. I know he doesn't play much, but
Yeah.
I just loved his veteran presence, the ability for him to rim protect, also be able to stand out on a perimeter and guard a all NBA point guard under 6'5", right? That's something that Porzingis couldn't do, Cornette couldn't do. And then obviously he could sit in the corner and knock down threes.
Yeah, and he can even start and play center, right? And be the
Right.
big man.
So
I
like
think that's a
he
that's a good
doesn't
call.
Horford was one of those players that was not the best at any one skill, but he had every skill. Whereas other players were great at one skill, but they don't are not great at others.
I mean, I think it's a great pickup for Golden State. I
Oh
think
yeah.
they're an old team, but they're
Yes,
they're
I
old
mean they
man
have a
strong.
they have a very veteran. Oh, I
Yeah,
think three guys are over whatever age 35. Curry,
yeah,
Green, Horford, and then they have a couple of smaller guards, younger guards.
yeah. I don't
That
see him
team.
getting through OKC, but another topic. So your
Yeah.
pick is Al Horford. I think that's a good pick. I'm going to pick something that's a little different. I do think that the missing three big guys is going to really hurt the team in the long stretch.
Mhm.
I actually feel like we're missing Drew Holiday.
Yeah.
And I think that, his tenacious D at the top and his ability to, not that he's the all-time top scorer, but his ability to score when kind of needed. I feel like both those two-way playing, I think is hurting us. I feel like even though the D's been okay, like having him up guarding anybody
Right.
would really opens up, takes pressure off Prichard, you know.
Yeah. I don't see why I don't see why Derek White can't do that. Like I think Derek White is just as good as Drew Holiday at this point in his career, especially. Um, and he has the better shooting, and I think he can guard, you know, a top guard. And Jaylen Brown, right? He has to pick it up defensively
He
as
can do.
well,
I mean, but
right?
when you think about last year, you had, let's say you had those three guys on the field, Derek White, great D, Drew Holiday, I think better D historically than Derek
Mhm.
White, but and Jaylen Brown can lock guys down. You got those three guys all on the floor, and it changes changes the defense. Now, without a big man and without Drew Holiday, I just don't see us as tough on D as I think we're going to need to be.
Yeah, I'm sort of torn here on this video because at one point the offense is the problem right now. But on another hand, we know the offense, or we're hoping the offense is going to turn itself around, and we're predicting that the defense is going to be the problem. But right now, the defense is not the problem,
It's not the biggest problem.
right? It's yes, the rebounding, but that's not going to change whether you have good defense or not. Like I know it's part of defense, but I'm keeping that as a separate category.
Yeah, that's fair. I mean, this is the way too early reaction to the 0-2 start by the Celtics
Fair enough.
segment, right? Like,
I mean,
give me 5 more games, give me 10 games total, and then we're like, okay, now
have
we're
you
12% through the season.
ha,
Let's take stock of where we're
have you
at.
seen the schedule though?
It's pretty bad. It's pretty bad. We got to go through. I think Detroit is today.
Yep.
Um, we've got some nasty matchups
Yep.
coming.
I have the schedule right here. So
All
it's
right.
yep. So we play Detroit, then we have a winnable game against the Pelicans. Right, we got to win those. We play the 76ers again, Cleveland, Houston, and then it dies down a little bit with Utah, Wizards, Orlando.
So
But
I think you got to win two of those next games. You got to beat the Pelicans and you got to beat the 76ers or Detroit. You got to win
yeah,
two of those
I
games.
think you got to win those games. But then you're looking at losing to the Rockets, losing to the Cleveland, and you're starting the season 2-5 or whatever that is.
Yeah. Now, the one thing I'll say about the Rockets is, and I think they're a supremely talented team, they can put up a dog of a game, right?
Mm-hmm.
You see it. Like this is where the Celtics, with their very low margin for error, need a little luck. When they
Yeah.
go play OKC, Denver, you know, Houston, Cavs, they need those guys to have an injury and to mail it in because they're like,
Mm-hmm.
oh, the Celtics aren't that good. We don't have to try that hard. And they got to steal some wins. They just got to, you got to, like you see sometimes you go into Denver and they put up 75 points and they get blown out. You need
Yeah.
one or two of those.
I never like to wish for any guys to get injured,
No, of course not.
right?
Of course
But
not.
you're really hoping for some guy like Joel Embiid to show up where he's playing, but he's on a minutes restriction or he's
Yeah,
not giving full effort.
I agree. We never want injury. That's not what we're about. We want to win. We want our best team to beat your best team. That's the best
Mm-hmm.
way to do it. But that said, we do need some wins, and if some guys are a little banged up and maybe they're not at their full potential right now, and
Yeah.
or they just mess the game up, we could take some luck spinning our way.
Yeah. Speaking of luck and hopefully good things to come, what
Mhm.
are some of the silver linings from these two games? Whether that be just uh, con- uh solid player contributions or overall takeaways.
Well, I'll give you my first one, which is I actually think Hugo Gonzalez has looked
Yep.
sharp. I know that's
Mm-hmm.
one of we've talked about this again, the off-air show. I want to see him on the floor more. I think there's something there, I think.
I agree. I thought he looked fantastic, and the box score is not going to show it.
Yeah,
But I think you have to add in, his ability to, whether that's force turnovers, force a bad pass. He's also a bigger guy. He can rebound, and he did a good job of doing that against the Knicks. Um, I think he's bypassed, almost everyone on the bench. I think he's bypassed a Josh Minot. I think he's bypassed definitely a Baylor Shireman and Jordan Walsh, who I know this is a topic for another day, but
yeah.
what's going on with those two? Like,
I don't know. This is definitely a topic for another day, which is, what do you do with the pieces at the end of the bench? So we'll,
right.
you know, we'll talk about that. But so
But
that's my one, which I know is yours. I kind of stole it a
I
little bit.
I have him pretty even right now after just one game with a Chris Boucher. Like, could those be your seventh and eighth guys, maybe off the bench, if Simons is your, six man, right? Could those
Yeah.
be your next two guys who are also taller forwards that can play a little of center-ish basketball?
Yeah. And I think the other thing is, you say you're, 7 and 8 guy. I think we're going to see Mazzulla swap around Prichard as the 5 or 6 man. I think he'll play some matchups. I think, I think Payton Prichard is a super competitive guy. And
Mhm.
so I think sometimes sticking him off the bench is going to drive him. He's going to get angry about that. And it's a way to drive him as an individual performer, I think.
Yeah, Peyton Pritchard's a interesting guy on this team because he looked so good last year,
So good.
so good against those second units. He was sort of unpredictable, dare I say, unguardable.
Did you know he's unguardable?
I did. You might have
Yeah.
told me that before,
I heard it right from the horse's mouth.
but um, he. in the starting unit this year, and he's going up against these better defenders,
Yep.
and he's in the game plan of other teams, and he's struggling not just with the shooting, but to even dribble the ball up the court or get away from defenders.
Yeah, I listen, he has not a starter before, right? Not that he's never started a game, but he's not a starter.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's an adjustment for him. Again, you're right, against the first unit, against top defenders. And also he's a known quantity. You're exactly right. Like you're not planning for him. You're like, take away his deep threes. You know, he loves to do this move. Like so he's part of the defensive game plan.
Mm-hmm.
And that is going to hurt his productivity. He's gonna have to keep leveling up. Now, the good thing I'd say about Payton Prichard is he has shown the ability to continue to up his game. Like every year for the last 3 years,
Yes.
he gets better. Obviously, he has a limit to how good he can get, but he definitely has another level. I think he can climb it up to that next stair. But the better you get, the harder it gets to get even better, especially against top talent in the NBA.
Yeah.
So I think he's gonna have to keep taking that step, half step, to get better. But
Is it worth switching him and Simons for a couple games, or you think he's just gonna play it game by game, matchup by matchup?
I think I think is gonna let. I mean, I have texted Joe about this, and he has not texted me back yet. But I've texted him about it. I think you don't make a switch yet. You got to let Pritchard find his way. It's better to let him struggle and grow into it than bench him and take him as the sixth man, right? You don't want to. I don't think he'd be short on confidence or anything, but like you
Well,
need reps. You
he
need
said
reps.
he was okay coming off the bench. Whether I mean, of course, he's gonna say that.
Yeah,
Who
what's he gonna
knows?
say? I'm not okay. He's a team player.
Who who knows how true that is? Obviously, but
There's not one guy in the NBA that doesn't want to start. Like, let's be honest.
yeah, that's
The
probably true.
12th guy on the worst team wants to be the starter, of
Yeah.
course. But, he's a team player and, he's not going to say, I want to start. He can't say that out loud, but everybody knows it.
Mhm.
So I think Joe gives him some rope here and see if he can find his way. And then I think he swaps around a little bit and sees that Simon's going to start a little bit. And, maybe he just plays the first 5 minutes. He comes in quick or something. Who knows?
So the Pistons tonight
Yep.
they play with two pretty tall centers in Ivy and Dern,
Yep.
and um I know Beasley's out with the gambling stuff. No, we could talk about that in a second because that's a whole nother story.
Yeah, that might be a whole show, but yeah.
But I I want to see. I think they're gonna play two-ish centers. They might go with a Boucher and a Kada just to
Yeah.
try and get some size on the court. Um,
Yeah.
and maybe they go with a Gonzalez of all people, right? Like they might start him as well. I wonder if Peyton Pritchard comes off the bench in replace of that.
Yeah, that's a good question. If they go double big to start. And to your comment earlier,
Because I think
this is
I think Hauser would normally be that guy that comes off the bench, but he's shooting so well right now. You just got to keep him in the lineup.
yeah. This is the game where what you said earlier, I think to me is most telling is this is where you miss Al Horford. This
Hmm.
is a game where you could put Horford in. He's your anchor, he's your rock. Yeah, he's gonna get 35 minutes in that game, 38 minutes, be tired. But he would really help you. And so I think, again, Caden is playing really well, I think, to start the year. But he also played really well to start last year and it fell off. So we got to watch that.
Now, I've told you this before, but I think the reason he fell off is because just they put Porzingis right away into the lineup, and Keita just got less opportunity and less opportunity as the season went on, as well as Cornette just turning into a stud that season. So
Yeah.
that the inconsistencies. I don't know if you saw it, but Joel Embiid just said he wants to play more extended, start instead of these short stints. He wants to get
Longer
extended minutes
runs.
together so he can build a rhythm.
Yeah. Well, that's one of the hardest things. You see it in all sports, right? Maybe not baseball or whatever, but like you definitely see it in football. You definitely see it in basketball, hockey, a little bit, but like it takes a minute to build your rhythm on the court or whatever. And so if you're constantly swapping, it is hard. Now, at the same time, if you go down with a knee injury and you're out for 50 games, that's also pretty hard too. So, there's no balance. But it's one of the things I like about hockey is they have the units, they have the lines, and they run those lines. Basketball is a little bit more, you got to be able to play with everyone else on the bench. And so it's a little harder, I think.
I think Joe Mazzulla is trying to actually do sort of hockey thing where all the guys are interchangeable. Yes, there are going to be some guys that start every game, but most guys, I think probably the fourth and fifth guys, fourth and fifth starters, at least the fifth starter, and then really anybody on the bench can play at any time for any combination. I think that's what he's trying to build with this team
I
right
mean,
now.
here's the thing. That's a great theory, and it looks great on paper. We can put any of these five guys at point guard. The question is, how does it play out when it actually happens? Sometimes it's amazing, and sometimes it's a debacle. So that's what
Well,
we'll have to watch.
what it really means is if you're all 10 guys off your bench can play at any time, that means you got no bench.
Or it means you got no starters.
Yes, one or the other. There's not
Yeah.
really a good side to that. When
Yeah.
in theory it's a great, but when it's put into
Yeah. I
play,
mean, look, there's a lot of value in the flexibility. Like you saw that with Horford, where he can move to center. You see that with a Brown or a Tatum or so they're moving around and playing different positions. It's really valuable and flexible to match up against a team better. Same thing with the Red Sox. I got five guys who can play second base based on what we need right now. None of them any good, but whatever. So that flexibility has a lot of value, but it comes at the cost. If you don't have that lockdown guy as your shooter, your point guard, your whatever, like you're gonna lose to better teams probably, right? So
yeah. We'll start to wrap it up here. Final thoughts on, you know, how this team can get back into a rhythm and try and pull out some of these wins early to start the season, because I just think that if you can stay, close to 500 to start the season, it's going to get better. You're going to be able to pull out some wins as the season goes on. If you fall into an early slump and everyone loses, hope and focus, you just continue to build that, that um you continue to fall deeper and deeper into that slump. And I
yeah.
don't think this team's bad enough that even if that happens, they get a lottery pick. So there's no good side to doing that, because they're gonna win too many games just on talent, that even if they're not even trying, they're gonna be able to get some wins.
Yeah, look, it's only two games. I think we can't underestimate the vacuum, the change of losing Tatum for the season, veteran leader Al Horford, Cornette,
Mhm.
like player favorite, Drew Holiday, and his I've won everything there is to win, including the Olympics and the
Yeah.
gold medals and the just so when you look at all that, I think it would be crazy to think that this team, even with talent, can just step into that. It's gonna take 20 games for them to quarter the season to find who they are as an identity.
Yeah.
So you got to, so to your point, you got to hang in there and win as many games as you can until you find your way.
The game tonight is definitely a winnable game.
It is.
A hundred
Detroit's
percent.
good, but it's winnable.
Yeah, they're good, but they have some weak spots on this team. It's also a young team. Your star is a young player in Cade Cunningham, so you
Yeah.
don't have that experience that a Jaylen Brown, a Derek White can bring to the table. And I just think this is one of the games where, maybe on paper they're a little bit better, but it's one of those games that you have to pull out, especially you can't go down 0-3 to start the season.
I mean, you can, but it
Yes,
would be nice
but
to win. It'd be a nice win.
it would be a nice win to start the season.
But
And
if they don't find their rhythm as a team, they'll lose this game.
right.
They just, I mean, unless somebody goes off, Payton puts up 28 and
Mhm.
Brown puts up 30 and, White puts up 22, like then you're going to win or something like
Yeah,
that. But if you don't have those guys go off and you don't have your rhythm, I don't think you win the game.
I want to see Jaylen Brown
Go off.
get his points.
I'd
Like
like to have him in the mid 30s
he
today.
said he said he's been trying to get other guys involved. I'm not buying that excuse from him right now. Like, I just want to see him be able to put up numbers, you know, relatively equal to some of the stars across the league. Like,
Yeah,
because
you need,
it is a star driven league at, when it's all said and done.
yeah, like Jalen's got to put the team on his back, which he's done before. and we know he can do it. So
But he also have a game like he had against the Knicks where he gives 7 turnovers.
yeah,
So
yeah, old school JB. So
yeah.
yeah.
But
All right.
yeah,
Well,
we'll wrap it up here.
yeah.
Thanks so much for watching. Follow on social media. We will be live tonight after the Celtics take on the Pistons for postgame show around 6 p.m. or whenever the game ends. And one last thing. Final score prediction for Patriots game coming up.
I think they beat the Browns Browns defense is good. Their offense stinks. So I think it's going to be a little bit tight. Drake May's coming into form. I'm going to go 21-10 Patriots.
Yeah, I'm going to go 24 or 26-20. I think it's a closer game than we might think.
I don't think that Pat's D gives up 20 points to this Browns offense.
Really?
I don't think so.
Okay, maybe. I
We'll
just
find out.
I think the Browns force a turnover and get points off of that way.
Maybe. Yeah, okay, maybe. We'll find out.
But
Now, anybody out there who's watching, you made it this far to the show, and you're a Patriots fan, best Halloween costume of the season, Dracula May. Let's do it. Do it. The fangs, the blood, Dracula May. That's the money costume this year.
Have you seen that before? Have you seen?
No, I thought of that.
Oh. But yeah, until next time, go Celtics.
Go Celtics.
Brown lets it fly. Bottom, a three. From behind, knocking it away. Tatum cashes in. Prichard got it back inside. Oh!